overflow in the vestibule area with the TV. You get extra points.
I didn't start doing that till I was in college. I felt so confident.
Thank you. Thanks, Josh.
Thank you, Josh.
That's good. How are you? Where do we have to wave so you can see us? Oh, there.
He can hear us, but we can't.
So we can make faces at him and he can't see us?
That's right. Unless he watches the streaming.
He'll watch the screen.
Knowing him, he will.
It'll be delayed though.
Just so he can see who's sticking their tongue out at it.
Can y'all still hear me all right with this little mic?
Yep.
Yeah, we've got a mic on the phone, so technology. Fabulous.
What's the temperature there?
Oh, it's glorious. It's 77 degrees.
Wow.
So jealous.
You're in Chicago. What part of Chicago?
Chicago proper right now, but I'll go down to, what's it called? Little town down there. Canton. Gonna head down to Canton later tonight. Do some work there.
Oh,
Canton, Ohio?
Chicago.
No, Canton, Illinois.
Oh, Illinois.
Yeah.
Don't eat the pizza.
Canton,
Oh yes,
Illinois.
it's awful for sure. I'll avoid it at all costs.
I went to Chicago once, got their pizza, and I spent the rest of the night in the restaurant. Let's just say that. Oh, no. When you're not used to Chicago pizza,
Oh,
I don't know.
so much cheese. So much cheese. Yeah. And it
Well,
tasted
how long
great
have you
going
been
down,
there?
but not so much good.
Simeon, how long have you been there?
I have only been here a weekish. I came up from Denver. That's where I was spending the most time because they got hit with hail there. So I've been jumping from one storm to another.
Sounds like it.
Cool.
Oh yeah, it's been fun helping lots of people out.
Well, I'm glad you're a blessing to many, I'm sure.
Oh, thank you. I try to be. Not every adjuster is.
No, I know that. We got a little rain yesterday here in our,
Yeah, for about 15 minutes.
maybe about 15 minutes it poured. Lots of wind gusts. High of 88 today. So it was a little cooler than usual. All right, so the time is 6:28. If you would like to speak and have not yet signed up to do so, you have 2 minutes.
Taking on second
Oh,
job?
there's an alarm.
Job?
Okay,
Just
all
wearing free
right.
swag?
Did you tell him that?
We signed this with a different pen.
Okay.
Do you have a regular?
So, yeah.
This is-
Hey, Simeon, apparently there's an alarm at 6:30 that goes off. Just hang tight and we'll get rid of it. It's on his phone.
Yeah. You know where in-laws live out there by you?
Yeah, across
Okay.
Katy Corner, yeah.
Thank you. Here you go, madam. I'll keep it here.
I'm gonna get that as soon as possible. Take the alarm off right there.
You'll make it better anyway.
Yeah, for
There's
sure.
one at 12.
I talked to her yesterday. She's
All
going
right,
to
perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, we took the alarm off, or Josh did. Thank you, Josh.
She still got scars from that.
From Saxy.
Yeah, that's where she first started.
I can't find it. I have it open on my other computer.
The time is 6:30 p.m. Welcome to our Poetry Town Council meeting for our beautiful town of Poetry, Texas. on Thursday, July 18th, 2024. We welcome you and want you to feel heard, valued, informed, and connected to your town and its council. We welcome diversity of opinion and want minority views as well as majority views to be heard. We also appreciate mutual respect despite opposing view. Your opinions, suggestions, and comments in favor of or against a topic are welcome. However, this town council meeting is not the time to ask questions or for interrogations. We encourage anyone having questions to come either talk to us at a break or after the meeting to email or schedule a meeting with us. At this time, I need to remind the public that a disruption of this meeting may be considered a criminal offense according to Texas Penal Code 3813 and 4205. You must be signed up to speak during the meeting and stay on topic according to state law. To preserve the order and decorum of the meeting, any person who makes profane, slanderous, threatening remarks or becomes disruptive during the meeting will be asked to leave or may be escorted out by a peace officer and given a citation. At this time, we have our City Secretary, Ann Hamilton, will be taking roll call.
Okay, Mayor Pro Tem Jaffe,
Here.
Councilman Fowler,
Here.
Councilman Anderson,
Here.
Councilman Blake,
Here.
Councilman White,
Here?
and Mayor Tarasenkovich.
Here. Okay,
Does
quorum.
that count?
It does. As long as we can see him and hear him, he is considered present. Check that with the Attorney
With
Berman.
voting privileges or no?
With voting
Yes.
privilege.
Oh,
Yep.
well, shoot, I didn't know I could stay
I'm
home.
gonna start zooming every meeting.
Well, I think it tapped our technologies just to do one, so,
Better double
Yeah.
our budget then.
yeah. Well, and he's in Chicago, so he has a little bit of you can't just fly home. All right, so, at this time, we have Reverend Jack Mullins, who is going to say our Pledge of Allegiance and our invocation. Please rise.
I pledge allegiance Let us pray. Gracious and loving Creator, by all the names by which humanity calls upon you, we look to you tonight. Bring to those whom we have elected to serve this community wisdom and compassion, being open to the needs of the larger, diverse community. Instill within each and all of us a spirit of compassion and a willingness to look beyond our personal needs, wants, and grievances to the needs of our neighbors, not only ourselves. Open our hearts and our eyes that we may remember that our community is diverse as to background, identity, culture, and language, that we may work together to assure that all have a seat at the table. It is with thanks and humility we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, Reverend Mullins.
Yes.
I can turn on the AC unit and the window will blow air, but it'll make the sound is kind of difficult. Do you want able to hear more, or do you want,
Me, personally, I would be cool more, but
okay?
I'm just one vote.
I'll give it a whirl.
I mean, I would assume that would cool down, right? Our regular AC.
A lot of warm bodies. Okay. Under items of community interest, we have a thanks to Brian Vincent for using his tractor to remove a large hole in the parking area from the removed tree that was out here. Thanks to Becky Carter and Todd for trimming tree branches at Town Hall lot and parking area. Thanks to Ken P., Kevin, and Josh Sinkovich, myself, Councilmember Jaffe, for working on pothole repairs on 247, July 27th and 28th. Thanks to Constable Bowden for working CR 249 to ensure safety during the dead tree removals on July the 9th. Thanks to volunteers Trevor Kruger, Kevin Sinkovich, Ken P., Daryl Watson for wick and pothole repairs on 247 and 323 on July 11th. Thanks to Brian Vinson and Poetry Tack and Ag Labor for removing remainder of tree limbs at Town Hall site. Thanks to Councilmember Blake, myself, Poetry Tack and Ag for contributing supplies and labor for the French drain for the Town Hall site. And at least for the 1-inch rain we had, it performed very well. Happy to see that. So moving on to reports. We have our June end. We have deposits of $11,298.07. Withdrawals and debits of $709.84. Checks paid, a total of $11,913.90. Our ending balance is $122,321.65. Moving on to our June sales and use report. So the sales and use tax incoming was $8,025.35. So that leaves in the road fund balance $86,618.20. General fund $35,703.45. Total expenditures on the road, that includes the signage, the tree removals, is the pothole repair, $27,940. And we'll have to talk about that in a minute. All right. The Q3 budget and versus actual. So this is for quarter 3. Remember, our fiscal year ends end of September. So it looks like on our income, we're under income because of the FEC issue, which we're going to hopefully remedy tonight. In fact, they sent me the preliminary, so they're already on board with that. On the numbers is what they sent. Our franchise fee for solid waste is up by 23%, so it's at 98.1%, so that's a good number. Our donations is about a third of what last year was, but you know, it's been a rough financial year for a lot of folks. We're at 70.3 on income, so total, so we're just slightly under. It should be around 75%. You would think that by quarter 3 it would be showing 75%, so we're slightly under on the total for that. Under expenses, for the secretary's expenses, we're at 60.4%, so we're a little under, but that's expected because we didn't have a secretary until February. So that was a vacancy. We're at I'm very happy to report on legal fees, we're at 74%. So you would expect it to be at 75. So whereas we were way over budget for a while, we pulled back on that. So now we're right in line with the legal fees. The insurance is right in line, 71%. We have gone over budget on pothole repair, and primarily because of the trees we did and the sign. Right now we're well, this is for the end of June, but we're going to have to look at that for the new year. We're going to have to look at spending more on the pothole and signage and all of that, looks like. And when we start doing budget, we'll look at that.
You're talking about line 6100?
Yes, we're at 99% right now.
So if we spend more money than that, do we have to do a budget amendment?
Well, we're gonna have to do a budget amendment once we do the $1,800, because we already paid the $500. So we'll have to do a budget amendment for the trees and for the engineering.
Okay.
But at least with the pothole repair, we can take it from the other road fund, probably, unless whatever council wants to do. Okay. Any comments on that?
Looks good.
Okay. Okay, Secretary's report, read by Town Secretary Ann Hamilton.
Our next Cape with council will be scheduled sometime in August, I guess we will, confirm this evening. So Mayor Sekovich and 2 council members will be in attendance to meet with citizens. You know what, this is not the one that we redid.
The new one.
Yeah, thank you, because I must have the old one. Okay, it says, as required for the Texas Municipal League Workers' Compensation Audit 2024, the Town of Poetry accumulated the following volunteer hours. May 23 through May 24, indoor total hours was 175 hours and 20 minutes. Outdoor total hours was 149 hours and 30 minutes. And thank you all who contributed throughout the year. The Town of Poetry has had 3 days of road team volunteers. Those dates were June 27th, June 28th, and July 11th, working on County Road 249, County Road 247, and County Road 323. And we are pleased to give a big round of applause to volunteers Mayor Pro Tem Mike Jaffe, Kevin, Josh, and Mayor Sekovich, Ken Phillips, Daryl Watson, and Trevor Kroger. I know we discussed that, for volunteering their time to help in the repair of our towns. This is a Poetry Town community effort, and these volunteers are very much appreciated. Thank you. How I have
Thank you.
the original.
Thank you, Secretary Ann. Okay, moving on to the consent agenda. We have approved minutes from the June 2024 meeting.
There's one typo in there under H. It's got my name spelled wrong. It's got a Y instead of an E.
Really? Under H, you said?
Oh,
At the very bottom.
it says Jaffe, but with a Y. You're right.
Pronounce it right, but it's spelled
Okay.
wrong.
All right, so since it's just a typo, we can do that. Was there anything of significance? Okay. All right, so is there a motion to accept?
Motion to accept.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Blake, seconded by Anderson. All those in favor? And that passes. And Simeon on screen, 5-0. Okay. We have an ordinance amendment from FEC Electric. And when we signed the agreement 3 years ago, it had in there that the first 2.5 years, they would send quarterly payments, but then after that, it would go to annual. Because we are a town that does not have property tax, we had to, I had to negotiate with them, and they were not, at first they were like, well, we do this with all of our towns, so they didn't want, I was asking for quarterly, but we got semi-annual, so that'll work. And so in fact, the preliminary estimate is around 18,000 for on this amendment, it is on or before January 31st for fees collected from July 1st through December 31st, and on or before July 31st for fees collected from January 1st through June 30th of the then current year. Our attorney then wrote item C for the calendar year 2024. The fee payable on July 31st shall include fees collected throughout the calendar year of 2024, not otherwise paid to the town. And that's to make sure that we get this in our budgeted amount of this fiscal year. So, all right, is there a motion to approve?
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Anderson, seconded by Blake. All those in favor? And that passes unanimously. Okay, item under consent agenda, the May legal bill of $975. We have a motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Can we help us understand the prior balance, payment adjustment, current fees? It seems like we're running a little bit behind, because I got another one that's $1,121.
So that is just the way the accounting works. So we've already made the payment, but it doesn't show up yet. And so she's just saying the current fees are $975, but we've already made the payment. But on her sheet, it shows
So what are we paying right now? $975?
$975.
That's it.
Yeah.
But that, I guess the way I'm reading that last page, we had a bill of 1,800, then we paid 1,657, which left a balance to be added to the 975. Is that not right?
I don't understand exactly, her statements is a little different, but after talking with her and emailing her, the 975
Is
is
what's due now.
the amount, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, last month, I think we had the same thing. We
Yeah,
had the
she
prior
does it every
month
month.
still showing.
It still shows the prior month,
Right.
but we've already sent that check out, and
Okay.
I don't, and they do their
Do what
way.
they do?
They do what they do.
Okay, so we have a
I'm just
motion and a
glad to
second.
have, yeah. Okay, we have a motion to approve, seconded by Anderson. All those in favor? And that passes unanimously. All right. The Merrill, under number 4, the Merrill ETJ petition release. Motion to accept.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Blake. I'm not sure who got it first. Seconded by or White, maybe? Okay, seconded by White. All those in favor? Okay. All right. Number 5. No, on the wall one, that was on the original one, but after taking the check to the bank, it was not signed. So, and we've tried to reach out to them, but they have not yet done that. So we'll just have to postpone it.
Okay,
Not a
so
big
it's in our
deal.
packet, but we're not acting on it.
Right. Yep, sorry about that, but it's invalid without a signature, so. All right, so number 5, memorandum of understanding with Kaufman County for debris cleanup. So, Steve Huey of Kaufman County sent this, actually at a good time, right before we were scheduled to do this, and so, they are getting FEMA money. Originally, it was just FEMA money for structures, and now it's for all the cleanup as well. Is there a motion?
Motion to accept it.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Blake, seconded by Anderson to accept this MOU with Kaufman County for debris cleanup with FEMA money. All those in favor? And that passes unanimously. We can sign that there. All right. Okay, so moving on to the regular agenda, discuss and consider action on items 1 through 12 below. So number 1, we have our second annual agricultural scholarship presentation to Ms. Shaylee Reed. She is 18 years old. She's lived in Poetry her whole life. She's gone to Poetry Community Christian School for 13 years. Why don't you go ahead and stand up, sweetie? We're going to put you on the spot there. And she graduated on May 24th. She will be attending the University of A&M and College Stations. Congratulations to her. She is majoring in animal science with the intention of becoming a large animal vet specializing in equine science. She says she's always had a passion for animals and have truly loved them her entire life. So we are excited. She is a deserving applicant. We have a check here for the amount of $750 that is made out to the university. I have stamped it, signed. We'll be mailing it with your name in the memo and your number. So that'll go for you. And then we have an award here, and we will get your picture. So you was receiving it. Is there someone who can take a picture?
I can. I thought, Kevin was.
Well, we got a picture last year. It's on and we'll put it in the post if you
Yeah.
get your permission. Okay.
Try to get a better one. Okay, ready? Very pretty. Let's take one more just to, in case my film messes up. All right,
We're so
perfect.
proud of you.
Congratulations.
Good job. Here you go.
We had some donations come in this week, so thank you to those who contributed to that. We're so grateful. And I know it will go to good use. All right. Okay, next on the agenda is determining an August date for Cake with Council. So last time we had Councilmember Fowler, Councilmember Blake, and myself, and we had, I guess, 9 people show up. Oh, you know what? I am so sorry. Back up. I didn't get the cards. Did, Mr. Strauss, did you wanna say something on agenda one?
I just want to say thank you for the
Aw.
scholarship from our granddaughter.
Okay.
All right.
Well, she is well deserving and, you know, we're a small area, so, you know, anyway, we're proud of her. Okay. Now we're on number 2. Okay, so, is there any dates that you, and who wants to participate and what dates? I was,
Well, I'll go again as long as it's Tom or Mike. 'Cause I haven't been with Tom or Mike on one, so
Well, yeah, I was gonna propose we mix it up, 'cause I was with Tom last time.
yeah. So just
yeah,
You
that
and
was kinda
Tom
the
do one,
idea.
and I'll do the next one.
Okay, I guess the only thing, I've got a cataract surgery Monday,
you can pick the date.
and then 3 weeks after that, the next one, so really I'll do it next week.
Well, we were
That's
thinking
August.
about August.
August.
Yeah, so
August?
yes, sir.
You'll be able to
Okay.
see by then.
That's the second one, and then, August 27th, I've got a hernia surgery,
Oh.
so I'm busy, but
You and Mike go this time.
Falling apart, Tom.
Well, I was kind of wondering if we couldn't do it, maybe on the 20th or 27th. It's a Tuesday night.
not the 27th,
That's
Well,
when
not,
it goes in.
yeah,
let's have surgery,
Right.
but it'd have to be before that.
okay, or the 20th.
What's the 20th? What day is Tuesday? What week is that?
That is a Tuesday night,
Okay, that's,
Tuesday the 20th.
yeah, I think that works.
Okay. Tuesday night, what time?
7 work good.
Sure.
I think last time they did it 5:30 to 7:30, but whatever, I mean, if you need to work and
Seven
7
a.m.?
PM.
I don't know what time it is.
So,
Y'all can pick.
August,
It's August 20th.
August 20th, that's a Tuesday night. We'll make flyers and distribute those. 6:30 to 8:30?
6:30 to 8:30?
Yes,
Sure.
is that okay? All right. Okay, so, and it's gonna be Anderson and Blake this time. And we're gonna try and rotate, that's the whole idea. We wanna, and we can only do 2, because we can't have quorum, so. All right. So we'll have myself and then, so we'll have some good variety cake. In fact, we have some, I froze the cake, we have some over there. The lemon cake was really especially nice. So,
I never got any.
Me either.
so- Okay, so, we have decided August 20th, 6:30 to 8:30, that's a Tuesday night, and that'll be our, what, 4th? We had 1, 2, we've had 3 cake with councils, that'll be our 4th one, so, yeah, I hope everyone who has questions will come out and get some informal, information and chit-chatting. So,
Sorry, I'm old and I forgot that I had signed up and there's some things that need to be said about her. Would it be against the rules to back up?
well, we already passed you.
Okay, we can do it at the end. I can do it at the end.
You could do it in general.
I will.
Okay, yes, sir. Okay. Okay, number 3, we have our flagpole in that really bad storm, fell over. And it is well, we saved the flag. The flag was dried and, air dried, and it's folded and it's safe, but the pole is destroyed. So we need to, it is not in our budget, so the flag itself, the flagpole itself was donated a few years back. We do have, Mr. Strauss, in fact, donated $200 to the cause, but we don't have anything in the budget currently for that, so my thought was, we'll talk about it. We've got people all over the gamut here. Some wanna spend a lot more money than what this last flagpole was, because we are a town hall. But I want to hear from council and maybe citizens on this, so we can maybe put it in, so we'll be doing budget next month, and so then maybe we can put it in the budget even, because we don't really have a budget for that unless we have a lot of more donations. But we can get a very small residential type for about 200. There's one for $163. But unless we secure it with metal internally, it might not survive like even a small storm. I don't know.
So,
Any thoughts?
do you know what the diameter of this one is at the base?
The one, which one are you
The
referring
one,
to?
the $500, or $469.
That one, I'm not certain. I think some of those are 2.5, 3 inches diameter.
So it's bigger than the sleeve.
But I kind of wanted to get an idea of what you know, and of course you can do your own research, but I kind of want an idea of what the council had in mind, how much they want to spend on the flagpole.
I'm more inclined to go with a permanent non-telescoping, either heavy-duty residential or light industrial, because it's a permanent fixture, and I don't wanna have to do this the next time we have a storm that takes down another, you know.
They have wind-rated telescopic poles,
Oh, do they?
Yeah.
Okay,
and it makes them easier to change the flags.
well, as long as there's something strong enough to, I just hate to buy a $569 one, we have a storm, and now we're having to buy another $569 one. But yeah, as long as we have something that's wind rated, that's fine.
Well, I guess the problem is we have a bigger flag than what was originally there, and that takes more wind. The new flag, and then when it's wet, it's even more so.
Yeah.
So it does take a big force on the very base. And then with movement, well, you know, it gets metal fatigue after a while, and then it can.
Yeah, that's what I was concerned about. If it's doing this, does that what finally, made it break, or
Oh,
was it just bent? I didn't see it, so or is it
I
just?
didn't either, but when I put that insert in, it was because it was moving, and I thought, well, it's gonna get metal fatigue, the one we had. And this one just bent, it didn't get metal, well, I don't know if it had metal fatigue or not, but anyway, it does right at the very base is where you get all the force.
Yeah.
Yeah, it did bend at the base and it was falling over onto the fence.
Yeah.
Well, I
So-
think the flag we flew was the one that was from the Capitol, right? It was a 4x6.
It was a little
The one
larger.
we used to have was a 3x5, which is, and I think it was a lighter material too. You know, the nylon or printed or whatever, if you get sewn, they're much lighter.
It was nicer.
4x6 is a pretty big flag, got a pretty good pole.
So,
I'm not opposed to the 3x5. I mean, it's,
Well,
we're a small town. It doesn't have to be.
Yeah, it's not like you can see it from the highway. I mean,
Yeah.
You got it right here in the building.
so that one was given to us by Lance Gooden. I think we have another one that may be that same size.
Well, we might
So-
put that one on display, put it on the wall.
Well, we have, we one in the triangle in there that he gave, and then. So,
yeah, I guess the
any
question,
range on what you wanna spend?
which Jonathan raised is, do we know how strong it is at the base? I mean, I'm kind of the same opinion, we're gonna do it, spend $500, we need to make sure it can handle that wind load for that kind of flag. So, I guess that's the only question I had is because I couldn't find anything in here that described it.
This particular one was vet-owned, uncommonflagpoles.com, and that was one that, we took pictures of at the fair. They had kind of and they looked very strong and sturdy. They went all the way up to thousands, some of these do.
Well, I guess the question is it carbon steel or stainless or
Do
something?
you remember? No. I mean, I think each of us could do our homework and then we can bring it back next month.
Research and find a wind rated for 100 miles an hour or what? What's
Well,
I mean,
you can get it, yeah, and so, I don't mind contributing some money to it to get it, as long as we know it can handle that, the
how
design.
tall too? I mean, because it doesn't need to be real. The taller we make it,
Yeah, 20 feet is fine.
that's what I'm thinking.
So if
too.
we get 20 foot and then they recommend at least 2 feet in the ground and we're 2 to 4 feet in the ground depending on the
10%.
gauge.
Well, I do more than 10 because that's
Yeah.
all fill out there.
Yeah.
Well,
We get a good saturating rain, that ground gets soft.
well, actually, as long as it comes with a sleeve, you cement in the sleeve, then you put this in, and then,
Yeah,
the sl-
I'd say 4 feet though.
So 20 to 24 feet maybe.
Because I don't want to do them twice.
okay,
And I got a postal deer on the tractor, so.
oh, okay.
Oh,
Well, I guess that'd be the only question, is we need to make sure that it's a steel that'll handle this, and they
Yeah.
should.
okay.
Otherwise, and if it is, I'll contribute a couple $100 myself, just to get a nice pole, if it'll work.
Well, we'll do some research then.
So yeah, if council would do some more research and, look into that more, then we can, if we need to get a 24-foot one and put 4 foot in the ground or however we need to do it, we we can look at that further.
I'm with Terry, I like the telescopic, they're just handy. You push
Well, that's fine
buttons
as
and
long
they
as
drop
it'll,
down and-
if it'll stand the windlet. He
Yeah.
says they make them that way, that's
I
fine.
have one.
So at the firehouse, what are they, are you,
Well, it's easier to mess around with the rope, it's got a nice little.
I have a
swivel for
telescopic
each-
one at the house.
Yeah.
and you prefer this telescopic?
Well,
one?
you don't have the ropes to replace the pulleys.
Well, the
all
flags
that. It's
fly
probably
better
20
because they
foot.
stay right against the post. They pull
Well,
out the
this-
rope.
Has a
This-
solar light on top of it, so you don't have to have the other lights on it, and it tracks with the
Does
flag.
it have a wind rating? I mean,
I'll get some.
Now, one,
you're fine with it? Yeah.
we did the new solar lighting that we, bye y'all. Thank,
She wanted to say something, she didn't want to interrupt, but
Oh.
she wanted to say thank you.
Okay.
oh,
so much,
she's
so
so welcome.
everyone.
Congratulations. So the top, did survive. We had just bought a new solar light for the top because the other one was a couple years old, and so, we have, it's relatively new. I don't know if it'll fit on this,
Just sign
one.
the Pocton thing, remember if we get some FEMA money, we can declare it a disaster. And our flagpole broke.
They paid 75%.
If I get $500,000 from the government.
I think that's a great idea.
Well,
We
It
can
said
lose
structures.
people
I'm
in
not
there.
sure that qualifies as
I guess
structure, but maybe.
my only thing is, I said, we'll all be dead by the time that happens.
Time they send the
I
check.
prefer something sooner.
So this one here was telescoping. It is heavy, considered heavy duty. The 20-foot one is between $469 and $519. I'm not sure what the price differences are exactly. They have was there a certain color that you care
Silver.
for, silver,
Silver, yeah,
metal,
just
or white?
Any of them?
Have any preference?
Silver's
You like the
good. It doesn't
silver?
wear off. Permanent.
Yeah. Okay.
And again, if you look, I think the one side said we have wind rated for storms and such, so probably they
Mm-hmm. Okay.
have like a heavy duty section. The ones that
Alright.
are a little stronger.
Well, look into it. If you find any good material, we'll bring it back next month and we can talk about it further.
We have a citizen.
No, there, well, let's see. Do we have any? I don't think so. No one on agenda 3. Okay. All right, moving on to number 4, the update on the Bishop Airfield LLC, the Municipal Utility District, or known as a MUD. We discussed this last time briefly. So right after the meeting last time, I called the Victor Crisales, who is the Coates and Rose attorney, and talked with him and asked if we could have a meeting. I asked if we could have a meeting with the owner/developer, and they sent back saying, well, the engineer and attorney will meet with you. So then we finally got one scheduled, and we had that meeting on Monday. So Mayor Pro Tem Mike Jaffe was there. We had citizen Glenn Strauss was there because his experience in property tax and MUDs. We also had invited Judge Stovall after talking with him, Judge Stovall and Brian Toole of Development Services out of Hunt County. So they brought to the table some really interesting information. What they said was, that's after discussing it with the engineer, she was assuming it'll be 5,000 to 6,000 people there. And so with that number, then Judge Stovall was saying, well, then you're going to have your own fire department and your own police station or something for that number of people. And there was some concern about water. Their plan is to go with water wells, like 6 wells to supply their water, and then an on-site sewage treatment facility. There was some concern about the roads, of course, because, and then after the meeting, Councilmember Anderson, who lives on 2434, was saying, hey, there's 2 bridges there that are not adequate for heavy construction. So I think it was a productive meeting. What's your sense, Mike?
Well, so as Tara said, the meeting really was from the Bishop Field side with their law firm that was hired by the current owner to, what did he call it, to entitle the property, basically. They hired the law firm to equip the property to have a special utility district so that, my opinion, they can sell it to somebody to develop. I don't know that the current owner is gonna develop it. So we didn't get a lot of detail about the development other than the law firm has to size everything so that the permit information is accurate. So they're sizing this for, I think it's 1,757 homes on 400 acres, which is a very high density. And that if you take out roadways, floodplain, septic tank and all of that, it's actually, it's about 5 homes an acre, something like that. And their lots are only 40-foot wide, so these are gonna be at least 2-story, really close together. As Tara said, Judge wasn't happy with it at all because he said, you're gonna kill a lot of people if there's ever a fire or any kind of an emergency, because, we're operating off of a volunteer fire department, and with that many structures that close together and only 2 driveways to get out, I mean, that's a deal. It was interesting to me, the development guy was saying that for every lot, they estimate 10 trips, vehicle trips per day,
That was quite a significant,
which is,
Yeah.
so I guess
Yeah.
each time you go out the gate, that's a trip, come back in, that's a trip. So I guess people
and
come
that
and
was
go
Brian.
5 times a day on average per lot. So if you have 1,700 lots, I mean, that's,
Astronomical.
Tens of
That's a
thousands of
lot of
cars.
traffic.
17,000 cars.
yeah.
Yes. And that was from Brian Toole of Hunt County Development Services. And I hadn't, never heard that statistic, but that's significant.
Now, they did say, and I think the attorney was trying to talk us off the ledge, that, and she was very nice, but she said, well, there's no indication they're gonna develop this anytime soon, we're just gonna set it up to be developed by, but they might. I mean, D.R. Horton could come in tomorrow, write the guy a check, permit gets approved, and, they could start developing tomorrow, or, I don't think it's gonna be 10 or 20 years from now, unless, of course, they decide it's just not feasible.
And that was kind of the takeaway for me. So I know that Judge Stovall did say his experience in surveying as well as being in judge, he said he has seen a number of these fail because of lack of feasibility. I think that I did ask the engineer, Stephanie White, I asked her if she had gone to a site visit, and she had not. So I'm like, have you seen the roads? Have you seen the bridges? And she had not yet. So,
And what attorney was this?
Attorney Mindy Kane is from Coates and Rose is directly working on this. And the engineer was Stephanie White, I believe, with the Kimley Horn.
Kimley Horn, Stephanie White, that's correct.
And so these ladies are working on it. I get the sense that Miss Mindy has done a number of these. She says she's been doing this for 17 years. She's very proficient apparently at it. We were also discussing some of the tragedies that we've seen in Forney with some of these and some of the downsides that we've seen. And she did say that none of her MUD districts have been Section 8. So we did, Attorney Berman was present via phone. He was in between meetings. But he was on the phone with us for most of the meeting, and he did ask some pertinent questions. He said, so if there's any kind of offer that they want to make, the ball's in their court right now. So they're going to come back hopefully with some sort of offering, and then we can choose to accept it or not.
Yeah, Stephanie was, amongst other permits that she's been responsible for, because she's apparently done this, as Tara said, all over the state, was Wildwood, right up at the edge of our town. That development permit was provided by her.
So you said
she's-
2 driveways. Where's the other driveway at?
They bought, if you look on the CAD, the appraisal district, there's a little strip of land, I think it's about a half an acre, that dumps out onto County Road
It's 2440.
2440.
They
So
can't do
this
that,
one
though.
right here.
We have a driveway code.
We do have a driveway code. The question for me was, okay, since we passed it March 21st,
This is already in the works.
it may have already been in the works, but however, I have driven by several times. I don't see any development on that. So I guess the question is,
Well, they may have
will
owned the property.
will our driveway zoning ordinance help us at all? It might, I don't know. So they have bought this half-acre little strip to exit into 2440.
so they could produce plans that they have a road going there.
And right
Do
now,
they
that
not
road's
touch it
pretty
on the
decent.
south side, on the, behind the Corral development? Does it not touch that road on the southeast
Pretty
corner?
close to it.
It does get pretty.
No, southeast corner, right there. Does it not touch that county road?
Oh, it might. 2452.
You know, the other interesting thing
Always
was,
thought it did. I didn't. I mean,
It looks like it might.
The ones that I saw.
they established the tax rate for these utility districts for the residents after the first phase of the development is done. And they figure out a number that will allow them to pay back the investment in the infrastructure, and they're allowed to go up to
$1.20
$1.20 per
What's that?
thousand, and
per
that's on,
hundred.
or per hundred rather.
$100 valuation.
And that's on top of your regular tax bill.
1.2%
So,
tax.
yeah, the people that live in there are gonna pay a lot of
What's
taxes.
the amortization time period
So-
on that?
30 years. What she said was, and this was astonishing to me, those poor people. She said they would start with $1. So to give reference, okay, so Terrell, for instance, their city tax is 0.67 or 0.68 cents per $100 valuation, which is thousands of dollars per year on top of county taxes. So these citizens would have to pay not only the county taxes, but then also the MUD taxes, which is high at $1. It's $1 per $100 valuation.
Well, and if only, making this up, if only phase one completes, those people are responsible for paying off that entire 140 million or whatever they invest in the infrastructure.
Well, I think that was the way the law used to be, and what I was gathering is she was saying that they've changed it up a bit now, so I'm not sure that that's the case anymore. But that's highly unfair. But and so it is that's just very high tax rate. And then it does work. It is like a city structure. They have an Open Meetings Act. They have a board of directors. They have to have regular meetings. And I did see in the legislative process, they're trying to make it where the MUD director, they have to be within 5 miles, because sometimes they're clear in Frisco and they might have a property here, and then it's not very easy for locals to attend those meetings. So there's a movement to make those meetings, those MUD meetings, just very, very approachable. And anyway, so
I
it
guess
was-
bottom line, we talked to the law firm that's doing the TCEQ permit. We have not spoken to the developer, so there's another set of conversations down the road that,
and I have consistently asked for that. Anybody who's sleuthing, very good at finding names and numbers, you can help me out. I would really like to find and talk with the owner/developer, because I think they bring something different to the table than just the engineer and the attorney.
well,
so.
and again, there's nothing we can do to stop the permit. TCEQ is required by law to issue the permit as long as the paperwork is filled out correctly. Although, I was told the other day, the Crush the Crusher people have actually filed suit.
They have filed a
Against
it's kinda off topic.
TCEQ.
Yeah, against TCEQ, a $50,000 lawsuit, so they can appeal. And
But that's the way it would be changed, not, we can
Right.
resist all we want, but they're
well,
gonna give them a permit.
and there is movement in the legislature on that. So if I don't know, we'll see. Okay, Doug Kendrick, did you want to speak on this? Okay, Glenn Strauss. Okay. All right. Any other comments from council?
Yeah, I guess my question on the TECQ is that what all does it encompass? Groundwater? When they evaluate this, how many, or what are all the features that they're gonna evaluate? Because I have questions if they could pass the TECQ, if they value everything fairly with that kind of density. But
Well,
I don't know.
I will tell you, I attended a TCEQ meeting in Rockwall when there was farmers not wanting to lose their land to this kind of thing. The neighbors, it was the neighbors. And the TCEQ, my takeaway was I saw these college, they're half my age, right? These college kids come out of college, they truly care about the environment, but the law only allows them to test for just they can't even test for drugs. They can test for a small few things, and if it passes, which most of them do, then they have to accept it. And so when I talked to some of these off the record, they were like, yeah, well, our hands are tied.
But don't they have to have a list of things that has to be met by the TECQ? Or
For the infrastructure, they have a design plan that has to be met. But once that design plan is is done. TCQ
Right,
is
that's what
really
this-
limited.
That's what this stuff is. This is from the law firm, so this has
Yeah.
all the numbers on it. Acreage, floodplain, runoff, density.
Groundwater.
Yeah.
All that stuff is all, it's, basically, they're doing a math problem here.
Watershed,
Yeah.
all that stuff.
So if the TCEQ determines that the effuse water is no harm to the surrounding livestock and the surrounding persons, then it's good to go, is my understanding.
So one concern that I wish I'd known y'all was talking about that, because I think that's gonna be the same creek that Wildwood dumps into. So now even the minimal amounts could be doubled downstream.
And that might be a good point to bring up. Now, certainly, there's been plenty of protests at TCEQ meetings, and we know that. And now we do have in our zoning ordinance, we do have something about effuse water. So if it goes into our area, that's against our zoning. So that might be another thing that we could be into play. I'm not sure. But
That should be the same creek, Mike. So even minimum
Kinda looks
levels
like it.
above stream, when they combine with the minimal acceptable levels, at that point, it could exceed the acceptable levels.
now, with the engineering seems to present that is very early in her stages of evaluation. And so we can, see if it's not feasible, then they might find it's more profitable to go elsewhere. The attorney, my takeaway from that was, she's doing her job and getting the entitlement for the funding part of it, so.
Yeah, I mean, it's a transaction to them. It's not an emotion, it's not it's not that they wanna hurt our town. It's just like, listen, we were hired to get this permit, we're gonna get the permit. That's how they get paid.
She did say, this was the attorney, Mindy, she did say that she has one out there that they've been holding on to for 20 years and has not yet developed.
So there's no action for us to take tonight.
Just wanted to update everyone on that meeting that happened, okay? All right, number 5, approve minutes addendum for the May 30th, 2024 meeting minutes. So, I had written this originally and then it inadvertently got erased, but anytime fraud is made, to me, well, doesn't even matter what I think. Our auditor had said anytime fraud is made, that's serious, and so you need to address it in your minutes, and so that's what I'm trying to do.
Was there no one signed that steep on the mud?
2, the past.
Yeah, they passed.
Doug and Glenn.
Yeah, that you passed. Both of you passed. Did you change your mind?
Yeah.
Come on, Glenn. Start.
All right, is that okay with everyone?
Thank you.
Okay, come on up, Glenn, if you thought of something. We'll let you unpass.
I'm Glenn Strauss, and I live at 11072 County Road, 2454. And like Tara said, I was at this meeting because I was a property tax consultant in the property tax business for 45 years. And I had some really nasty issues with muds in the Houston area. It was a few years ago. The attorney says things have changed. But I got the distinct impression that, well, she told us, this is a law, you can go protest if you want to, but you're going to lose. So you may as well not lawyer up and fight us. And it's like you go to a school district meeting, the school board, because they're going to do something, and they have a series of public hearings for that. And what you get out of that is, we're going to do this anyway, we're glad to have your input. And that's kind of what I got out of this meeting. And I also am talking about, this may be 25 or 30 years away. This is somebody who's ready to cash out the land that has value, in my opinion, and they'll start immediately unless the housing market changes. So, anyway, that's what I got out of that meeting.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so any comments? So it's just a simple statement. It says, anytime a fraud is made, we'll address it. The video is live streamed and thus immediately uploaded onto the YouTube channel, is thus not able to be edited. Councilmember Fowler motions died for lack of second. No vote was taken on the matter of the map maker.
Where is this added at?
It's on the last page,
Very
page
yellow.
6 in yellow. I just put it in yellow.
Yeah, I pointed out to Ann, there's a typo, YouTube is spelled
I don't
Y-O-U.
like yellow. You have to open it in Microsoft. You have to open it in Microsoft.
Where
Don't
is
just read it off the
It's not
email,
U
and then
dash
it
two,
will put
it's
all
Y-O-U.
notations in it.
Oh, is it?
She'll fix it, yeah.
Yeah, I'm
Y-O,
fixing it
yeah,
right
it's
now.
Y-O-U.
Okay, my bad.
That's okay.
Oh, I didn't type that? Okay.
No, you did.
Okay, I was like, I can't believe I
Yeah,
typed that.
no, I did it. My bad.
So I don't disagree with the adding it, but I do question the auditor, a financial auditor telling us we need to add physical words about edit to a live stream. What does a auditor, a monetarily auditor, financial auditor have to do with live stream?
They're more than just financial auditor.
Okay.
They audit our minutes, they audit the way that we do things. It's not just financial. A town audit is way more than just financial. So they got copies of all of our minutes. They do way more than just financial. And so, and in my head, the way that I thought about it is, if someone yells bomb, it may be totally fictitious, but you have to act accordingly. So if someone, says fraud, it may be totally in error, but we need to address it adequately, I feel like. So that's all that was.
I don't mind addressing that, just a question. So did you reach out to the auditors and ask them about this?
Well, no, I remember this from the last time that Ms. Hibbs made that claim. She said, you really need to put this in the minutes. I'm like, okay. So I believe we did.
Okay.
And so I'm like, okay, noted. We'll just do that as a matter of practice.
So Kyle Caperton had some kind of comment, or?
So Debbie Taylor, who works for Kyler Caperton, so she just said, yeah, you need to address it in the minutes so that it doesn't just stand out there like people are wondering, so.
Okay.
Anyway,
What's
Okay.
her name, Debbie?
Debbie. All right, and is there a motion?
Kyle's the one that
Yes,
signed off.
yes, but she's the one that did our presentation both years, yes. Is there a,
Motion to accept.
okay. We have a motion to accept by Blake. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Anderson. All those in favor? And that passes 5-0. Okay, number 6. The Hunt County project sheet H14 for flood prevention of $1,500. So I got an email and I think a call, maybe a few emails. After the significant storms, we had a veteran on 2466 who literally the water came up, not just past the tree, but under his pier and beam home. Now, I didn't see it under the pier and beam home, but he was describing it. It receded to the tree that was kind of in the front near his house. So when I did the site visit, he was explaining that it's not graded properly, and so I had Commissioner Monroe and his assistant Kevin Cook go out there, and they said, yeah, we can take care of that. And then Councilmember Blake had alerted me to one on 2326, and they went out and looked at that on 2326, and they said, hey, we can take care of both of those. They need to be graded for $1,500.
Motion to approve. Well, do we have any input, I guess, from citizens?
Nope, none for agenda 5.
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion by Councilmember Jaffe, seconded by Fowler. All those in favor? And that passes 5-0. Okay. On number 7, we have Hunt County project sheet of H15 for 8 roads. They are CR 2430, CR 2434, CR 2440, CR 2446, CR 2448, CR 2432, CR 2426, and CR 2400. Labor and equipment for completion is what they'll provide. We're providing the material mix on the diesel, $4,000.
Well, wait a minute, Hunt County, we only pay we don't pay for labor.
No, they're just saying they'll provide, I'm
Oh,
sorry if I made that unclear. They'll provide labor and equipment. The $4,000 is for
Materials.
the materials and fuel. Yes, sir.
Motion to accept it.
Second, since I live on 2434.
There's a lot of roads there. All right, so we have a motion by
Blake.
Blake, seconded by Anderson. There are no comments on number 7. Were there? No comments on number 7. Okay, and all those in favor? All those in, Simeon? Okay, all those in favor, and that passes 5-0.
It's about a 7-second delay or something.
Oh, well, it was maybe 2 seconds at the most.
Yeah, but I don't think he can hear you through that. I think he's.
Can you hear us, Simeon? It's a little delayed. I can't hear him.
We lost him.
Is he on mute? I think he's on mute.
Oh, can you hear me?
Is he on?
Are you muted on your end, Simeon?
On your Zoom.
The sound is coming out of the phone, right?
Do you know sign language? Hold up.
Okay, yeah, but it wasn't muted. Can you hear me now?
Can you hear me a little
Okay,
better through this?
all right, there was a little delay, I think. Okay, yeah, I can hear you now. We couldn't hear you for a few seconds there. Okay,
I got you.
okay. Okay, so the next one is pay BHC professional engineers the bill of $1,800 and discuss findings. So on number 8, I got the invoice like 2 weeks ago, and no report or anything, and so I'm like, well, I don't know what to do. But then he said that he could get something to us this week, so I took the chance of just putting it on the agenda in case we could talk about it. Something came today. So did everyone get, Secretary Ann, it came this afternoon, I had her shoot it out to everyone. Did you get anything? Since this was something that Councilmember Fowler and Councilmember Anderson worked on, you guys want to report that? Here.
But this bill is only for June, it's not for the July work, is that right?
No, it's all included. It's a task. We pay them per task.
Yeah, the June bill was $500 for the interview, and then we already paid that. The $1,800 is for this task.
So I really don't have a lot to talk about as far as we just received it today, and they did confirm that they found the one POE coordinate discrepancy that I'd already pointed out. What I'm really disappointed in is I'm uneducated. I don't have a degree in GIS or RPLS behind my name. In a matter of 10 minutes this afternoon, I found another one that has probably a half-mile discrepancy.
So, which one is that one? Did you
I
look
want,
into
no,
it?
I want to talk to Henry. I don't want to
Okay.
pay this bill. I want to talk to Gary and them. They said that that's the only discrepancy on there. So I quit my work on this project when I showed you all this stuff.
Maybe you missed your calling.
I don't think it's that difficult. This is the problem. Even this chart they provided us, so they marked the 1.33 mile error that was found. So if y'all will review K1, they corrected the points. Do you have it? Do you need it?
I gave my copy to him because he didn't have it. Yeah, I mean, I've already seen it. So,
Okay.
yeah, there's
So
one
they
discrepancy.
corrected the points to, and for everybody to know, these are trans-coordinate, I'm not even, I can't remember what they are. But anyways, they corrected them to 698, 327, yada, yada, yada. That's a reference point. As I was looking at that, I looked at the map, guys. That point is a POE K1, but it coincides with POB K13. So you should be able to look at POB K13 and it have the same number as POE K1. Everything else does. So even in their correction, there's an error.
Well, since you're assigned to talk to them about this,
So
I know we just got it today, so you can talk to them about it.
And now I feel like I do need, because obviously I am uneducated on this, but whatever whatever I'm doing's right, cause I told y'all it's a 1.3 mile discrepancy and they say it's 7,056 feet. If you do the math, it's 1.3 miles.
On K1 you're talking about.
On K1. So I started this project after 5 o'clock today because I'm like, I know I've looked at some of these that don't look right, and immediately in 5 minutes I found one that 1,783 feet off.
Is that the one?
Yeah, I
Which
just,
one is that?
I want to talk to them in person because I don't want to sit here and feed them. I'm hiring them to do a job. They're a subcontractor. They're saying his last sentence or his last paragraph is, "We trust this evaluation and recommendation meets with your expectations." Well, it doesn't. I want these and we're not provided a map. That was part of it too. They were going to provide us a map with all the dots. We don't have a map.
I haven't paid the check.
Okay.
So
So-
I don't want to move forward. Oh, so another question while we're sitting here, so we can take this back to them. A citizen brought this up to me, and I hadn't thought about it. So if y'all look at the offset from center lines, might need to go to Hunt County. That's where, well, either one of them. If you'll look on the offsets from center line, you have a distance section, you have a side section. Under the side section, what are your three options?
You have both right or
Left.
left.
Both left and right. So the citizen questioned me on why do we extend past the bubbles? Where does it say go past the marking?
The 311, you mean?
No, at the end of at a POE, if it's on a dead end road, we have these bubbles. Where does it say to go past the end of it?
My understanding, that's kind of standard of practice, so.
But is it? Because we keep talking about what the intended, okay, so let's back this up. Mr. Berman said the map is a visual representation of the data. Okay, there's nothing in the data, for one, that I've argued that says follow the center line of the road, but that's somebody else's fight, I guess. But we continually use these numbers to draw the map, so shouldn't the map reflect these numbers? And if so, why do we extend past the end of the road, past the end of the spot?
So with their expertise, they probably, maybe that's, like,
that
again,
standard
that's the
practice? But we don't-
understanding
we don't
of
know
standard of
that.
practice.
Not in my surveying
So-
maps.
so
When
you're-
that
Well-
tells me that my point
But-
stops here, I don't get another 311 feet.
Well, that would be something to talk to them about, I think.
Instead of left, right, or both, it would be,
Left,
Arc.
both, and past.
An arc
But
or,
it doesn't say that.
Yeah.
So now that we would have to add language that says, well, the intent was we can extend as well.
yeah.
And that's,
You're
That's
saying
the-
the end of those roads should be just a square, just a straight
but they,
line?
the
but,
citizen brought it up, and I think it's a valid argument is what I'm getting at. And I wanted to hear y'all's opinion.
yeah.
Woodland Estates, for example.
Well, I agree, just looking at the stuff, it doesn't describe a circle or a radius or a curve.
Semicircle.
Yeah, you think it would, yeah,
I
maybe.
think the whole thing is none of us are really qualified. They are the ones that have to maybe stand here and explain and answer the questions.
But I think we are qualified to find math errors. I mean, if the math
Well, maybe.
doesn't add up.
Well, that one, the one I sat on a tee for them, they knocked it out of the park.
So if you would, Councilmember Fowler,
I
if
would
you
like
would
to
contact them with
whenever you have
Anderson
time.
and then
But I
find
guess-
out
But I guess,
the answer to those two questions. Those are two valid questions.
yeah,
So,
it's fair enough.
okay.
It was, the other option is be to just have them come here and answer in front of the council.
Well,
Well, let them go do the work and
Well,
try to produce
yeah.
a better
let me
document.
show it again. Maybe I'm off, but it's pretty easy math. You can plug this into something that gives you coordinates, and you can measure with Google
So
Earth.
the first step is just ask them.
Ask them about the other error. There's two errors that I see. One is the new data points that they gave us don't match with the other data points, and the second being the road that I found this afternoon. I mean, I'm probably going to spend another 10 or 12 hours mapping this town to be able to call them out on it. I don't feel like I should when we're paying a professional service to do that. I mean, at what point do we start saying that they're drawing the map to our liking as opposed to this legal description?
Well, that's the question for them.
Yeah.
We can't answer that.
Well, I thought it was interesting too on their,
Didn't provide a map too.
Yeah, we need a map.
on their spreadsheet, and I think it's where they set the spreadsheet up, but the call distance that's corrected doesn't have the 2 decimal places that everything else does. Everything else goes 2 more,
I saw that too, but
and that's
but
weird.
there's
Surely
one.
it doesn't end up
Well,
even.
there's
That
one
would
that's
be
point
odd.
Z. I already looked at that. K11's 1900, 1914.00. So if they just didn't format it to
Okay,
put,
well, maybe it is 0, 0.
it could be the exact footage.
Just-
But if you plug in the numbers that correlate with K13, obviously it's going to move. And when we talk about discrepancies, and I'd like to hear from council, what would we consider a discrepancy? I don't think 6 feet or something like that would be a discrepancy. 1,800 feet would be a discrepancy.
Yeah, quarter of a mile or half a mile, that's material. That's a
But
lot.
what is a discrepancy in this council's mind? 10 feet, 20 feet, 50 feet?
I
I
don't
don't know,
know.
I think we need to know what the numbers are, and then, once we know what the numbers are, like how far they are from what they were presented, then we can make a determination of is that acceptable or is that not, is it material or not? I don't know.
Okay.
And there's no structure in this area that is in the discrepancy area. It doesn't affect a structure, is that correct?
Well, yeah,
It does.
that's what was most alarming about the one I found today. There's at least 4, if not 6. I didn't put any bubbles around it. I drew straight lines. And that could be 12 voters that hasn't been able to vote since incorporation that are clearly in this incorporation document.
If you draw it using these numbers.
Using these numbers that were articles of
So,
incorporation.
okay, so you need to talk to them.
Yeah.
Yeah,
This
okay.
is exactly what I've been trying to tell you.
That's
Okay.
okay, just hash it out.
Well, we're not the experts, the Stovall
have the
Engineering,
ability to
and then, we hire an
rectify it now.
engineering firm to do their due diligence
Maybe
and.
you'll teach them something.
I'm not trying to teach them. I just want a good, solid product.
Well, but we don't need to pay $2,000
No.
to do our own work.
No,
That
I
doesn't
agree with
make
you.
sense.
Yeah, and I don't think we should pay for them to come out here and explain their
No,
work. We
let's
should get the
just
report.
get the results. I
Yeah.
don't need to beat them up, just fix it.
Yeah.
Yep, let's have solutions. Okay, and there were no citizen comments. Oh, no, there is. Okay, Doug Kendrick?
Doug Kendrick on Holly Creek. I did know exactly, I put my name on the beginning on the professional engineering side. And then thus going through what y'all are hearing. Just also some indicators too, especially when it goes down to the next item and doing subdivisions. If you've hired them to do the job, it's good to, keep checks, but, they also are gonna need to be included in some of these developments, especially when it comes to your subdivision ordinances. As far as being able to okay engineering drawings from streets and drainage and all that kind of stuff. So those are things that should be considered as well. And so like I said, I just hearing what basically this item was for just mapping and things, but when you have these engineers on staff, even though if it's not in the ETJ, it's at least helpful, especially when they're going into the outside of our roads, things like that, so they could be a hand to say, our engineering is recommending this road needs to be beefed up or whatever, if you ever had the arguments of subdivisions coming in and that sort of thing. So I know there's the next item, and I've got an opportunity to speak on that one too, but I just want to kind of say my piece about, I've been around these professional engineers, and you just got to keep check on them, but you also use them for what we're needing here in this community to help check what other people are doing in our community. So, thank you.
Thank you, Doug.
Thanks, Doug.
Okay, Shelley Smith? Patrick Smith?
I don't think he's here.
Okay,
So this is no vote.
Yeah, no action.
no action. Okay, moving on to number 9, subdivision, actually, what time is it? 7:39?
7:39.
All right, let's go ahead and take a 5-minute recess. It's 7:39, 5-minute recess.
When's your surgery?
Yes. When's your surgery? Which one?
Your first
Monday.
You come home the same day?
Yeah.
Yeah, it takes like an hour.
And then the next one is
Scary how easy
I
it
want to
is.
sit down with you before I reach back
It
out to
really
it.
is. I would do that all day
I
long.
want to show you the computer and all that. Not to try to sway you either way, but so you can see what I'm doing, and then we can call.
Okay.
Is that good?
Yeah.
So I'll get with you one day. I'll call you.
Okay, because, this is my first time. When my wife had it, first 3 or 4 days, she still had the blurriness and all that. So it took us a few days before she could do things. So earlier in that week would be good, late in the week, maybe.
Okay. I will send them an email and tell them that we want a meeting, but we need a meeting later in the week.
But you know, I mean, you know all my constraints for the last 6 months. I haven't had time to do any of this, but I do have time now. I mean, the
I
last,
just want to show you,
yeah,
get you on the same page, show you how I got to the numbers.
well, being the executor has taken all the last month, a lot of time, but I'm, we'll get that today.
I seen you walking this morning. Almost swerved at you, but I was afraid you was gonna hit me
I
with your
told him we
stick.
need to get him a vest. We almost run over him on Sunday mornings because he's out there walking on the way to church.
I was afraid he was gonna take out my tail light with that stick. If
I know,
swerved
he's
at
got
you.
his little weapon with
There's a
him.
woman that probably needs cataract surgery, and she drives, comes right at me, and so I have to do like that to get her attention.
Flagged.
And, you know, normally, I only do this in the summer because horse flies, back on Crosby Lane. I usually go Crosby Lane in the winter, but the horse flies or the deer flies get so bad right about now, they drive me nuts. So I just switch over and go down 24, 34 because it's not bad. But I don't like it because, you don't get the wildlife. The wildlife's over on, the deer. Yeah, well, I like the wildlife. But anyway, this is all about the deer. Oh, sorry. Oh, okay. Okay, thanks.
It's always be in the summertime. Yeah. We don't have cold winters. I mean, we have cold snaps. Temperature extremes with breaks in. This next week I won't be busy. We won't be that hot. Yeah, it's gonna be cool for June.
That would be nice.
Cool, rainy. Great for the pasture. It's not great for my farm. I like doing computer diagnostics because that's mostly mental work. It is. I mean, it's not physical, and I don't do physical work very well anymore. Even electrical work, I have to do 24. Several of my tables are electric breaks, and several of them are electrical by hydraulic. So it sends electrical signals back to my signal. For that 2024 thing, I'd like to further work on my hydraulic. Long story short, I just drop off here. On the fourth trip, I had to go to the hospital because I already called PT trailer. So I had it. I said I need a new trailer. Calling my flag company. I said I need to have somewhere to get a brake control. It's not working very good. They got a software issue. Wiring harness. Oh.
Okay.
The problem is, you think dealerships have all the answers, but you got to email up to the engineer. But my Snap-on guys, 4 years ago now, work for
44, we'll resume our regular meeting.
what they don't know.
Sorry, excuse me.
A lot of conversation. Okay, so moving on to number 9 on the agenda, subdivision regulations, interlocal agreement with Kaufman County, Hunt County, and Rockwell counties according to HB 1445 and Chapter 791 of the Texas Government Code for provisions of plating and permits in the ETJ of the town of Poetry. Attorney Berman has said that we need to get this done. Last time we pushed it off into the public forum, which is online. Councilmember Blake put it on there, and I wrote a little comment, but I didn't see any other comments.
No, it's yesterday. No,
Okay.
yeah.
So, it didn't actually happen the way that we had hoped. So we do need to, Attorney Berman is very adamant, it is state law that we get this done. And
So we
so,
had, as of last meeting, we hadn't received one from,
Hunt County.
was it Hunt
I
or
don't think I
Rockwall?
have it still.
No, we,
no, we have one.
It's Kaufman, I think we have.
No,
Okay.
we have them all. We have them all.
three.
Okay.
We have them
They
all,
were on
so.
the packet.
I didn't get it printed then.
Yeah.
I looked for it.
So the Rockwall County one is the one that is the shortest, that is, our attorney has looked at all of them, of course. And our attorney has said that the Rockwall County one suffices. It's, conveniently vague. But it's only 6 pages plus a signature page and then a map page. So,
I just liked it because it was simple.
So, yeah, I guess, are we saying pick one and then propose it to the other two counties? If you
Yes,
pick Rockwall,
that's what I'd like.
and propose it to
yeah,
Kaufman.
and then that way they're all the same.
Yeah. I mean, let her at least go forward with
At least
it
try it.
and see if they will.
I think there was a question too, though, about the map and making sure we had an accurate map that goes along with this, right? That would define the boundaries.
He
of-
said that that's not necessary for the agreement itself. Because, I mean, our map, remember, we're gonna be updating it anyway, and it's gonna continually update as we keep getting ETJ petition releases, so.
So I guess the question now is, do we accept, for example, Rockwall and then send it out to the other two counties?
We can do
as-
that.
As our action item?
We
And
can.
then, if they come back with other changes,
We'll address it then.
we'll have to address it then.
Yeah, I'm not approving it because it's gotta go.
It's gotta go
back
to
and
their
forth first.
commissioner courts.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so we want a prototype to send out.
Now, obviously, on page 1, it said 2023, we'll change the date, obviously. Is there anything else on this Rockwall one, since it is the most simple one? Anything else in here?
I had my question answered last time with the attorney.
Okay.
What I liked was going to the 10-day thing, because if you wait 30 days, you don't have any say anymore. If you wait, the attorney told us that if you wait that long, you really, if no action, it's gonna go through. It does put a little pressure on us. It put pressure on our engineering firm to make updates and stuff.
Now, so I will tell you that I've received a few of, for Hunt County, for instance, they had, they were like, okay, so what do we do on this? Where do we stand on this? Because we don't have this agreement, they don't know what we're doing. And so it's very unclear to them, and they're having to, email me and, so we need to clarify what our,
I guess I would be in favor of going ahead with Rockwall for the other two after we get comments from the
So,
attendees.
We had the informal cake with council or whatever, and I'll just let it be known in this public meeting that I don't support any of them because I think it's a punishment on the ETJ. The people in the ETJ were told that they have protection now, but we're fixing to sell them out to the county to have these rules enforced on them that are not being enforced on the citizens of this town. So, right, wrong, or indifferent, that's my opinion on it, that I think they should be offered the protection of being in the ETJ, and then when we write a subdivision plan, and we all want to sit around and do that, then that will extend into the ETJ. But right now, we're saying the ETJ, y'all need to follow these rules, but the citizens, which I'm glad we're protecting the citizens, you do not. That's
well, the
my only
answer to
take
that
on it.
was if they're really concerned about it, they can annex into the town.
Well, that was your answer. I don't know that's the answer.
Well, but by default, it happens anyway. By
And- and-
default.
And Berman hasn't agreed to that yet either. I don't think so. I do not believe so.
Well,
I
what
do not
he has
believe
said-
they are not the authority having jurisdiction over that ETJ.
Well, it's already happened 3 times that I can count.
Just because they've overreached government's really good at overreaching their borders. So that example really doesn't hide.
Well, the state law says that we have to do this. So they're
And I-
really, I mean, we
It's
can
just my
be
opinion.
non-compliant with state law, which I don't,
Do you know what that state law is, just out of curiosity?
So,
I don't know off the top of
so
my
is there?
Did he write
is
it?
there
It's
citizen
on here.
comments?
Tara? Is it
I
in
don't
the-
believe there
It's in there.
is.
Okay.
Chapter 242.
Chapter 242.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry, there is. Doug Kendrick, Glenn Strauss. So,
So then I make a motion, we do, accept what Mr. Blake has done to, accept the Rockwall one, to send it out as the example to the other two counties and then see what we have. I mean, we're not making a decision here tonight, we're, only decision is do we send it out to the other counties? So I'm in favor of going ahead and getting the ball rolling on that rather than delay any longer.
Okay. Second.
okay, we have a motion by Anderson to take the Rockwall County and extend it to all three counties and see where that lies, and seconded by Blake. All those in favor? And those opposed? So are you in favor or opposed, Simeon?
I'm in favor. Is the
Okay.
delay that bad?
It was on this particular vote, yes, sir. So that is 4 in favor and 1 opposed. Okay.
Again, not to sign anything, just to offer it up,
Yeah.
Send,
see what
okay,
they say.
Yeah, let's see, get the ball rolling.
to all three. All right. Counties, okay.
Well, that would be nice, certainly from the perspective of treating all of our 3 county ETJs consistently,
Yeah, it would.
if that were the case, but.
I agree.
Okay. Okay, 4 and 1. Okay, number 10, selecting Mayor Pro Tem for a 1-year term.
I nominate Jaffe.
Thank
Okay,
you. I think
any
you've
other
done a good job.
nominations?
Well, I guess I would say, Mr. Blake, if you're interested, we'll, and we could have a vote. Well, I think competition's good. I'm not interested.
I'll entertain it.
He'll entertain it. Okay, then I nominate Mr. Blake.
Okay, so let's take a vote.
Hold on. Simeon, you got any nominations?
I'll also nominate Mr. Blake. I'd love to see him in that position. I think he'd do great.
Okay, so,
I want to nominate myself. I'm thinking about running for mayor next term.
okay, so you want to nominate yourself?
Yeah.
I say we're going to vote in order that they were nominated. So all those for voting for Council Member Jaffe as the Mayor Pro Tem?
Sorry, Jaffe, I got a bell on you.
That's okay.
Okay, then all those in favor of
Reprint my thing.
Councilmember Blake for Mayor Pro Tem for 1 year? Okay, so that's 3. And that, and then all those in favor of Councilmember Fowler for Mayor Pro Tem? Okay, that's 1. Okay, so it looks like Councilmember Blake is the Mayor Pro Tem for 1-year term. Okay, congratulations. Mr. Blake,
When's that term start?
now.
Okay. I didn't know if we had a date on Mike's. Okay.
Big pay cut, it'll be tough.
I know. Okay, so one thing, Mr. Blake has been very attentive, let's put it that way. Every time we send something out, he is the first one to respond. He's very attentive, so that's appreciated. All right, so number 11, approving an interlocal cooperative purchasing agreement with Dallas and Ellis County and participating in an interlocal cooperative purchasing program with Dallas and Ellis County. A lot of words that came from our attorney. So,
A co-op? That's what I advised you to go look into last time.
yeah, so here it is. So Ellis County was super easy. You can see that their interlocal cooperative agreement is just a few pages, and we can piggyback, so to speak, on theirs. And they already have it ready to go. I'm excited to have it. And after talking with several people, Mr. Harbin from Ellis County, he was so helpful. He's their purchasing director, procurement director. He said, City of Bendrick, Ennis, Ferris, Frisco, Garrett, Italy, McKinney, Palmer, Parker, Red Oak, Rockwell, Royce City, Pecan Hill all do this. And so he said the only time it doesn't work is when you're working with FEMA, but it works on everything else. And so, yeah, and our attorney said this is great. If you can do it easy and generic, he said, so,
Yeah, someone else has already gone through the bid process, and if
Right.
you have this MOU,
yes.
you just get to piggyback on it, but.
Yeah, so
But I don't see Dallas.
Yeah.
County of Dallas, City of Ellis.
Okay, so Ellis sent this, form, and I edited it, you can see my error. I did correct it, sent it off to Dallas County, and their attorney's like, no, we have our own. And so I've been emailing them regularly and saying, hey, when is the attorney gonna get it back to us? And then I talked to David, this afternoon, our attorney, and he's like, good luck.
Yeah.
They're more difficult to do this kind of thing with, but you'll eventually get it, but they aren't gonna just accept.
So this
This one.
understanding would unlock buy board and any other purchasing contracts that they have. Buy board's a big one.
So I have received from Ellis, again, this Mr. Harbin was super helpful, all of their contracts from pea gravel to crushed rock, all of them. So we have access to all of that, which is huge for our town. That's pretty exciting, yeah, so.
So Ellis County's already done the legwork of
Yes.
a lot of this.
And they are so nice and so willing to share with little towns like ourselves.
Okay, Bob,
Yes.
am I getting through okay now? Sorry.
Yeah.
This is the one that came to us, it says County of Dallas.
Right, and that was, so I corrected it and sent it off to Dallas.
Yeah, but-
And it is County of Dallas, but their attorney won't accept our form.
I know, but everything else says Ellis on it, so is this the one we're gonna send off
Oh.
to say Ellis?
The one, okay, so I have one here, I'm sorry, guys, I got it kinda late on,
That's what-
before the deadline. So, I've been asking for a while. This one is correct, it's
Correct.
on even, so it does say County of Ellis.
Okay.
And it does say, it has everything in the innards, but then it does say Ellis County here. It does say their clerk's name, county clerk, it does say our secretary's name, it says our attorney's name. And so then,
Okay, that's,
Does,
yeah.
does Hunt or Kaufman County have this agreement?
Uh,
I mean, you can have multiple
yes, now.
MOUs.
That's a good question. He did say some counties. He said there were some Bell County. He didn't
He didn't
say
say those?
whether,
Okay.
now he said Dallas County does. He didn't say Hunt County though.
Okay.
So, yeah,
We can keep building them.
sure. So all I have tonight is the Ellis County one. Is that something that we can, motion to approve?
Public comment?
Number
Number 11.
11. Doug Kendrick.
I'll pass, good job, maybe we can buy a flagpole now.
Okay.
motion to approve.
Okay, we have a motion by Blake.
Second.
Second by Anderson to approve the interlocal cooperative agreement with the County of Ellis. All those in favor? And that passes 5-0. Very excited about that. Okay. And we'll get that signed and sent off. All right, so number 12, allowing volunteer roads team additional $1,400 in materials for 2 more 5-ton loads of new asphalt mix to finish out the Kaufman County road repairs needed. So I did a little spreadsheet here, and I don't know if you got the updated one or not, but I did just today get the bill. I was estimating it was $650, and that's why it's in blue, because it was an estimate. The bill was actually $24.50 more than that, so give or take the $24.50, so there's a little bit left. So it's $1,350 roughly left in the balance that we've already approved for the volunteer team, because we did 3,000 twice, right? So they've spent 1,460, or excuse me, 46.50, give or take a few cents. So, and they've done, I guess seven mets for 7 days, on different roads and, doing about 3-4 hours at a time. And a 5-ton load, they can usually empty it in a good 2 to 3 hours by the time it's there. And so, and then right now it's just too hot to do all day anyway, so it works better that way.
The email we got asking a question about, did my answer that, you think? Because we approved the.
I don't know that they'd ever seen any of this though. It did answer it, but I don't know that they'd ever seen anything.
Oh, okay.
Now Secretary Ann's been working on updating the roads report online, so I don't know if some of this might be online, do you know?
Well, it was in the packet.
It was in the packet.
They pulled the packet, they go back to that original.
I think, but it's a little different
I think
format,
that's what
so.
she was
Yeah,
wanting.
it should all be,
Okay.
I think what she,
do you want me to pull it up?
I think what she wants is to tell them where this money's going to, like what roads
Can,
been approved.
can you speak into your mic,
Yeah.
please? Okay.
So, we both had an email from a citizen, I guess, concerned about where the donated funds were going to the voluntary road crew. They were appreciative of the crew, but just curious where the funds were going. I don't know that they had this, cause I hadn't seen this, so I don't know that they referenced this beforehand. But I think this explains it.
And I recognize that if I'm gonna ask for more, yeah, so over time, we've realized, and really, the road crew was just going where it was needed the most for safety. So we recognized immediately, 249 was just hazardous, and so they went there, they went, to Green Meadow, it was pathetic, and then back to 249. So yes, it shows here exactly on what dates they went. On February 22nd, they went to 249 in Green Meadow, March 14th, 249 in Four Post. On May, and I didn't get the actual exact date, because it was unknown. He just, 23, 26, there were some just Goodwillers that did that. And then on June 14th, the Four Post Lane, that was the 9 bags of asphalt on Four Post Lane. June 27th, that was 249, June 28th, 249, and July 11th, 247, and partial on 323. And they do plan to do, I think, either tomorrow night or Saturday, another 323 finish out. So. And my thought was I didn't want to hinder them in any way since they're volunteering and it's hard to get, a bunch of people together to do that. I need 4 or 5 people and the dump truck. So, before the next meeting, if they can have, up to 4 days to, 4 mornings to do it, then I don't want to hinder them in any way. So that's why I put it on the way I did tonight.
Other comment?
Nope, no comments.
Motion to approve?
Second?
Okay, we have a motion by Jaffe, second by Blake to approve item number 12 for $1,400 for asphalt materials for the volunteer crew in the Kaufman County roads. All those in favor? And that passes unanimously. Okay. All right, number 13. Discuss code of conduct policy. This was Councilmember Jaffe and Councilmember Fowler. And the attorney, so this came, we saw it, late? I know.
No,
It came Friday afternoon?
Friday,
Okay.
Well, we
So-
saw it in February.
Okay, so Friday afternoon it came. I was talking to Attorney Berman about some other things, and I said, "Hey, have you seen this?" We shot it to him, and he said, "You cannot vote on this. There's some things that are illegal in this document." He said it's too much detail on some and not enough on others, and he suggested that we look at some other towns on Chapter 2 under administration, and so that's why it's discussion only. So he was,
Oh, yeah, I went online and read some of the town, it runs the gamut from
Yeah.
one extreme to the,
So to catch you up, I don't know how much, this was mine and former Councilman Benson's.
Yeah.
This was our edits, this was what we was working to, so, I thought Mr. Berman had already seen this. I know we started this with Messer Fort McDonald, this document. So-
well, he's,
Maybe he hadn't seen it then.
no, he had not seen it until Friday, and he just said you cannot, the main thing on, well, he said several things, but he said,
Okay.
like, I know section 3, he said you cannot have anyone forfeit their office as town officer. We can't do that because then you're disenfranchising voters. And he said we don't have the authority to do that at any time. And so that section 3 just can't be in there. There were several.
So that's a voluntary forfeiture, and anybody can step down voluntarily at any time. Because if you'll read further into the back, which I'm guessing probably many haven't, it discusses that about, I wish you'd asked me about that before we got here so we could add, but I guess we can continue to read over this, but that's the intent of number 3. That's if it is founded, that, I don't think any of us can make them step down. Well, there is a way. The state statute gives a way for a council member to be voted out by the council.
If they're drunk.
No.
For public intoxication, I
Official
think.
misconduct, there's, so I don't agree with Mr. Berman on that. I'd like to follow up with him on that. But I think that's a voluntary forfeiture. Forfeiture is you're giving it up. Being removed is different.
Well, and then, so we have several pages, and this is what we talked about, I think, last time. We have several pages in the state government code on ethics, and the methods for that are allow an unbiased group in the Secretary of State to handle these things. I feel like if our group's handling it, there's no way we can't have bias.
Well, why do so many cities have code of ethics?
They got lots of them out there.
Every city has a code of ethics.
Well-
It stops council people from calling citizens employers, is what it stops.
Say that again?
It stops council members from calling citizens employers. That's the kind of stuff that this would address.
Why would a council member call a citizen's employer?
I'm using that as an example.
Well, okay, so some of this is,
Well, it doesn't stop it. It just tells you that if you do it, there's consequences.
There's consequences.
okay, so on number 7 and 8, like who determines this?
Section 7?
Section 7, so Exhibit A, number 7 and 8. Who
Exhibit
decides
A.
those?
Do not seek, use, or accept town-approved services in a manner or at a cost not typically available to other citizens of the town.
Yeah.
So
So,
if we got free trash service.
That's
for our
right.
Councilman.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Right.
Yeah.
Free dumpster,
or
free
if the
trash.
town bought a lawnmower to mow up here and we were using it in our own
Somewhere else,
house, that the
yeah.
citizens couldn't.
Well, that's already understood in the ethics in the state code. All right, so number 9, okay, so.
Did you say 8 also?
Yes.
Yeah.
So, in any interference with the proper administration of the affairs of the town, that is so vague, like, who determines what is interference with proper
And these can
administration?
be changed. These were obviously taken from someone else. Me and Brian didn't sit down and write these. These were all taken and vetted out by someone's attorney in
Okay.
some city.
So in number 9, it says at the top there, it says oneself is representing or speaking on behalf of the entire town.
Which
I said-
number?
So it's number 9 on mine,
not mine.
it flipped over to the other page, but maybe yours didn't.
No, mine's recognized that one, to hold oneself.
Yeah, but it continues on. She's
Oh.
just reading the top.
Yeah, it says, so, or speaking on behalf of the entire town. I said, no matter what decision we make, it's not gonna speak for the entire
I don't
town.
see
We're
that.
not gonna please 100% of the entire town. That just isn't possible. Hopefully, the most we can hope for is a majority.
That's, I think she's talking about.
I'm talking about Exhibit A under 9, number 9, there.
Representing yourself as having more authority than you actually do.
Yes, and so what's the problem with
So
that?
the claim that Terry Barber made, that she said she had the council's
And if she
support,
had truly done that,
if she'd
then
said
that would have
that'd
been a
no-no
violation.
by this
Yeah.
bar.
Yeah, because this is a government of council members. This is not a mayor, a paid mayor, like
It's a weak mayor system even, so
Right.
it's even worse than that, right?
yeah, you can't speak
Or
on.
one council member making a decision on behalf of the
Absolutely,
town.
anybody
That-
can't say that they represent this
And
town.
we know that. So, but it's,
Well.
on speaking on behalf of the entire town,
That's a great point. What Barbara made the claim on, that would be a violation of this,
Yeah.
if that was
And-
held
and-
true.
You know, to me, I don't know, I think about stuff like this. I heard a discussion a while back about the 2 local pastors that recently stepped down because of some stuff, and I just think, you know, when you're in a leadership role, especially in a governmental role, you have an obligation to hold yourself to a higher standard. I don't think there's anything wrong with us as a town being willing, after we agree on the construct of it, to hold ourselves to account to a higher standard, right? To say, listen, we're gonna try everything we have in us to hold ourselves to a higher standard in terms of our conduct, right? The things we say, the things we do and all of that. I don't have an issue with it. You know, if you're a cop and you commit a crime, it's a greater offense than if a citizen commits a crime,
Sure
right?
is.
Because you should know better.
Oh, I don't disagree with this, there's just some things,
Yeah, I think there's some wordsmithing, but I think the spirit, because I look back at our decorum, and our decorum it says you should do things right, but it doesn't really get into it. To me, this gets into, here's kind of what I expect of each of us in our conduct.
yeah.
And it's not just for us, I mean, we have no control over what future council's
That's
gonna look
right.
like or do or anything else, so it sort of sets a tone. And we talked about 3 years ago when we were formed, we wanna sort of set some groundwork for
Future
now to
councils.
eternity,
Yeah.
right?
And
And although they could vote it out, they're gonna have to vote it out,
Yeah.
because it's gonna be there, right?
Yeah.
It's gonna be there for everybody to read and say, hey, council's always held themselves to this, why are we getting rid of it? You know, what's the issue? So to me, I think it needs some wordsmithing and legal review and all of that, but
I know me and Brian also discussed, and it's something that I would like y'all to look into, is what town officers versus, who's this applicable to? Because one conversation that me and Brian had often was that it should be applicable to some volunteers, but how do you discriminate on which volunteers should be held to a higher accountability? And my argument to Brian was those who are in charge of, or have access to government documents, recording devices, they would be at a different level than someone shoveling asphalt. But I don't know how you differentiate that, but that's obviously a key point. If someone has access to those things, then they need to know what their expectations
well, to
are.
me, I think it says here in the middle of it, it says, the Town of Poetry Code of Conduct expresses standards of ethical conduct expected for members of the Town of Poetry, mayor, council, boards, commissions, appointed or elected.
Yep. Commissions, though, it doesn't really get
We're
into,
talking about volunteers though.
yeah.
Well,
Well,
no,
and I don't
think.
wanna disenfranchise volunteers,
No.
because we have volunteers that will not sign any of
No,
this.
I agree,
no,
but
we
but
don't.
if let's leave names out of it. But let's say a new IT person comes in and starts volunteering. There's a higher level of expectations, just like your point about a peace officer. There's a higher level of expectation of someone who has access to your stuff than someone
So they're
who's
looking at,
absolutely than someone shoveling asphalt.
Yeah.
They're both
I-
equally
I
important.
understand what you're saying. I guess, and after talking with Attorney Berman, it's like, I understand the spirit of this, perhaps, but my concern is that it can be weaponized, and it has been, these kind of things have been weaponized, and so,
can we get him to prepare one for us that's,
Yeah, I guess, Tara, what we don't want is what happened in Godly.
what happened in Godly?
It was on the papers a couple years ago, the mayor, threw one of the council members thrown in jail on the way going to the council meeting. And as it turns out, that person was going to raise questions about money that had been misappropriated. And, and so.
How does the mayor even do that? Like, I wouldn't
Because
even,
he got the policeman, this is in the paper, it's all
Okay,
public, but he got
okay.
Because they were breaking the code
police.
of ethics.
the mayor was breaking the code of ethics.
covering the
council-
tracks, I guess.
Yeah, well, actually, this last week, I sat
Yeah.
next to a couple from Godly at the, up at A&M and the registration at the, we were going through this with Dax, and anyway, they told me all about it too, more than what was in the paper. And anyway, well, the mayor eventually had to resign and
Sure.
all this because, and it turned out the mayor was misusing funds.
it's terrible.
And this woman was going in the
To
meeting to
expose it.
raise this as an issue. So he had the police stop her on the way to the council meeting, put her in jail so she could not be in the council meeting
Oh, my
when that
goodness.
was discussed. This was in the paper.
Yeah.
And then, as it
Which-
turns
yeah.
out, it did blow up, and the mayor was resigned, and I said, well, has he been charged? And they said, well, it's still, it hadn't been charged yet, but it's under
Yeah.
investigation. But it is an issue
Yeah.
that, you can't do certain things, like taking, we don't have police, of course, but having us thrown in jail to keep us from attending a meeting is
Right.
certainly unethical, and it's probably highly illegal as well.
Right.
But Godly is probably the worst example of anything I've seen. This happened about 3 years ago.
Well, I think the other thing too, though, is I don't think my opinion, it's a good idea to leave it up to our individuality to determine what's appropriate and what's not, right? I think it's good to have kind of a standard that we can all compare ourselves to,
Well,
because
and
I may think
right.
it's okay to throw people in jail to keep them from getting to the meeting, and you
Well,
may not,
that's
somebody else.
egregious, but.
Well, it is, but there's more subtle ones that could be equally damning, right? They can be just
Well,
as bad.
and just on that thought is, okay, one thing back to the auditor that she really praised us on is that, okay, so we have division of duties. So, you know, we have a co-signatory, which is good, but we have Teresa entering checks, and then I'm signing, he's co-signing, or Simeon is. So we have a nice division of duties. She complimented on us that we have good accountability in that manner. But I do, I guess my concern is a little bit is, okay, yeah, what standard are we,
So,
who sets
so
the
to your
standard?
point on the checks, that's easily defeated, right? You have a credit card. And if you're in collusion with the person that's putting them in and you are buying stuff on Amazon and tagging them however you want to, there's your violation. So I don't want to simplify it and say, well, we got 4 people that have to sign checks. I mean,
Well,
go watch All the Pretty Horses and see how
the
many
other-
millions that city employee stole.
Well, and we have gone through that training, of course, and I think just having the line item listed like we do, every expense is listed here, everything.
That's typed in by someone.
That is
So
typed
in
in by.
collusion, those
Yeah.
2 people
Yeah.
could get together. And if a councilwoman in Godly finds that and she gets arrested so she can't point it out, well, then we have a problem.
I would like to see that if there's a suspicion of something that's wrong, that it's. Well, what I wanna say is, there's nothing in here saying that it needs to go to executive session like we talked about, but let's put that in writing, so that's the procedures, that if somebody says something, we're gonna call it, we're gonna talk about it there, and maybe hear an explanation or not, but, yeah, there's things this thing needs to be strengthened with.
First, I'd like to know what Mr. Berman finds illegal or unapplicable in it. That would be a good starting point, because if they're illegal, we need to wipe them out.
Yeah.
Well,
There's no
she
reason to
gave
even
one,
talk
the
about 'em.
forfeiture, because she's saying you're basically abandoning the voters that put that person on the council.
But my argument to him is a forfeiture is done by that person.
But
and
if I quit,
Well,
that's
you're
not-
worried.
you can
Well,
step down at any time.
It would be
Let's
Uh,
ask the attorney.
a voluntary
say dismiss, we
resignation,
said
not a
forfeiture.
forfeiture is a different word than voluntary resignation.
We gotta let him
Yeah,
change the
well,
language,
Yeah.
so
yeah,
that we
that's
use the
fine.
letter of the law, that's.
Yeah, so,
And we ought to be able to have, like you say, the difference between somebody shoveling asphalt and running a website, or taking care of our email server.
Or uploading videos.
Yeah, there ought to be a way to rank those things, the same, if you're gonna handle sensitive information, then this applies to you, but we should spell that out what that is, you know.
so,
Is this written right now for volunteers? Because when I look at
No,
there,
section 2,
It's not.
for example, it's talking about people being sworn in office. So if we're considering volunteers, I mean, what's the reprimand if they go against it? I mean, if we're dealing with dishonest people, you know, if this is the protection against them, then they might do it, and if they do, then what's the consequence? Why wouldn't they if there's no consequence?
is there
We could
something in the
remove
state, is there something in state law about them mishandling information?
Well, once it turns criminal, that's a whole nother deal, but we're talking about just misconduct. If they do take the lawnmower to their house and mow with it, we can say, okay, you're no longer the yard guy, we appreciate your time, you're
But
dismissed.
to Tara's earlier point, some people might consider that an obvious issue, but others might not. You know, what's the harm? So I think until you tell people
Where the
what
line-
you expect of them, you
Well,
can't
this-
start reprimanding before you
Right.
say,
Well, this-
here's how I'm going to hold you to account, right? These are the standards that we have for our volunteers. We appreciate your help, but we need you to abide by these standards because we need some uniformity in, you know, how we do things, so.
And I think we should spell out the process when
Right.
something like that's brought up.
okay, so the state code already has those kind of examples. It has, you cannot take public materials, public equipment, and use it in your home. You can't do that. It's already written there. So,
Well, then if the attorney can reference those things, cause he'll know what it is, let's have that as a reference Just like they do in these other agreements, with this chapter so-and-so, this is
What it says in here, it says, whereas both the laws of the state of Texas address the legal obligations and responsibilities of town officers, it is further important to clearly specify all legal and ethical expectations by using added measure of blah, blah, blah. So
Locally
it's-
adopted council code.
Yeah, it's
I would
meant
just
to
like
be,
to know where it's referenced in the state.
so do we wanna maybe take this
Yeah.
to the forum, because we can have free discussion there and Berman can weigh in?
Are we gonna pay Berman to edit it first and say, okay, this is what I think is
Well,
illegal?
I don't know, let's make sure it
I-
covers
I'm wondering-
everything we want.
Yeah, I'm wondering if we shouldn't just kind of all come back together, kind of bring, maybe we've done a little more research with other cities and seeing what
Let's do
they
it on the
have.
forum, so it can be ongoing, because otherwise it's a month and then nothing, and a month and nothing, and let's throw it on the forum, we can all weigh in, including David.
Well, this goes back to
Or-
Measure Fort McDonald, so yeah, it'll go a month and 6 months and a month, 6 months.
Well, yeah, this was the first time that David had seen it, so he should be able to have a say in it, I think, since
Yeah.
he's our current
Put it on
legal.
the forum then.
He's got a-
Okay,
I'll
all
put
right,
it on
who's,
the forum.
okay,
Can I add something real quick, do you mind? I mean, almost everything you guys have talked about is addressed in this document, this handbook for mayors and council members.
we
It
referenced,
outlines the laws and everything, so.
My point is, every city around us has a code of
I
ethics.
understand.
There's a reason, and their attorneys didn't disagree with it.
Yeah, I understand, I was just saying that, almost everything has been addressed
that's
in
the
one
one
way or
we need
another,
to-
that doesn't mean.
maybe that's what we copy from,
That's what we need to copy from
Yeah.
then.
yeah. I mean, I don't know, to me, it feels a little bit like reinventing the wheel, I'm not sure it's necessary, but,
We didn't, we copied it.
Yeah,
We didn't reinvent it, we just
Well-
copied it.
okay, we need to copy some different ones too then, I guess,
okay, so I'm gonna post it on the forum, I'll
Okay.
start the topic,
okay.
and then we can all weigh in. Do we have, feedback?
So Mike, are you gonna post the document on the?
Yeah, I'm gonna post the document, and then we'll all shoot at it.
Of course, we already know that one is illegal, so I don't know if you wanna edit out the things we already know.
I'll send that one straight to Vermin with my argument on it before we just
Yeah, we
throw it
probably,
out.
yeah, cause he
Okay.
had
As it
several,
is,
he had several things, he's like, okay, you got too much detail on some of it and not enough on others.
He couldn't have
and then-
spent too much time on it, because from the time
No.
that Mike actually emailed it to the time you had a conversation with him, he didn't have much time to review
No,
it.
he didn't,
So,
he didn't, you're
Yeah,
right.
so
Well,
I
but
don't-
if we can go back to like the one copy and just put a big draft across it so people recognize this is not
That would
actionable.
be, yeah,
This is-
that's a good idea,
This is a
because,
draft,
draft.
okay? It's a straw man, we're just discussing it, it's not.
okay, Doug Kendrick.
dude. Come on.
Doug Kendrick, Holly Creek. As y'all stated, every city needs a code of conduct. And bless volunteers, bless employees, part-time, full-time, all that. It sounds like you're almost focusing on what council as officers do, but you do need to expand your thought processes. It's great to have volunteers, it's great to have, but at the same time, it's accountability. Everybody hears about accountability. Volunteer can go into a store and go like, hey, I wanna buy a chainsaw, but it's for the city of Poetry, so I don't get taxed for it. So those are some of the things, it's the code of conduct that needs to be covered, but it's think outside the box a little bit, not just at the table here, but, for your future of what you're doing. So that way you do get legitimate volunteers that are wanting to, bless their heart, the volunteers now are great to have. But, to avoid problems, cause sometimes volunteers are still a liability to the community and the city. So, y'all are on the right track. You gotta have, I've had to use a code of conduct in the cities that I've worked for, for disciplinary actions and things like that. You gotta have a start, but prepare for the future as the staffing grows of what y'all have for cover and things, cause y'all are right. You can't have free water anymore or trash like y'all mentioned, but there are things out there that people will try, and a volunteer is still a liability to community as long as they know accountability is part of their reasoning for doing what they do. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Doug. Shelley Smith?
So I believe that this code of conduct ought to also include an umbrella of the people who volunteer for things like working the website or the video or something. They need to know that they're held to a certain standard when they're doing things for the town of Poetry. I think also Robert's Rules of Order say that the secretary's not supposed to speak, and when she does, and it's not in the minutes, it either needs to be in the minutes or you don't need to speak, okay? Thank you.
Patrick Smith? Okay. Glenn Strauss?
Is this general comments?
No, sir, we're talking about agenda item 13 of the Code of Conduct. Okay, or Code of Ethics, excuse me. Okay. Kevin Sinkovich? Okay. All right, so I think we've decided that Councilmember Jaffe's going to
Well,
put,
He's
or,
gonna check it, you're gonna rub it
You
up
go ahead and
against.
send that, no, you go ahead and post the draft.
I'm gonna put draft on it. I'll put
Yes.
draft across.
I'm
it
gonna
in big
send
letters.
section 3 to Berman
okay,
and say,
Send all your questions to him. I mean,
yeah.
well, I don't have a lot,
okay.
I thought this was a legal document that we copied, so sounds like he has more questions that he needs to,
Well, yeah, I guess I'd like to hear his feedback.
but that's what I'm saying, do we wanna pay him or do we wanna make our best stab at it and then, I can ask him about that one particular one.
Well,
Make our best
You get
stab at it.
15 minutes, you get a quarter hour.
so I would encourage the council to, if you see, like you've already done some homework on that, and revisit some of towns. Now, he suggested something about looking at Forney. I guess he likes Forney's. So we might look at Forney's Code of Ethics, and it might be something that's well-written, and go from there.
Okay.
Okay? All right. Now, general comments.
Is this not anywhere tonight? This was in our packet.
No, that was just for your
Okay.
information.
Okay.
Yeah,
It's gonna be on colored paper, right?
we already
Orange,
printed it on
green,
green.
purple, green.
Okay.
I asked, Leo, yeah, so. it's
Lime green, like the
Lime
fluorescent?
green, yes. In fact, they might, we can't really talk about it, can't, it's on agenda, sorry.
Oh, you can talk about it, we're not taking action. Well, maybe not.
No.
All right,
Don't worry about it.
general comments,
Don't worry about
Right here. Oh, sorry. All right, Shelley Smith, did she just leave? Okay, Glenn Strauss,
Glenn Strauss, still on 2454. I really want to thank the council for starting a scholarship program and the people who contributed to that. And I want you to know what you invested in. Like you said, Shayla's gone, her entire education's been at Poetry Community Christian School, all honors classes. And the last time I asked her what her grade point average was on a 4.0 scale, it was 4.6.
nice.
She's a member of the National Honor Society, president of her school chapter of National Honor Society, received a $1,000 completely unrequested scholarship from Phi Beta Kappa. I thought that was all university stuff, but her grades were so good. Lettered in 2 sports, volleyball and softball. About in the middle of the season, she was their power hitter. She was the team home run hitter. And one of the games, about in the middle of the season, they were playing at some other location, and she took out the windshield of a car in the parking lot. So, unfortunately, she can't play either sport in school, because she's gone into the animal husbandry program, which is harder to get into than the Harvard Medical School. Because at Texas, there are very few of them, and Texas A&M, I don't know if it's the best in the country, but it's at least in the top 3. And you said, no. Somebody said, she's always wanted to be a veterinarian. And that is absolutely true. We live across the street from Dawn's horse operation there on 2454. And when the kids were littler, we used to take carrots over and let the kids feed the horses. And Dawn was there one day, and she said, be careful of the black one. He might bite. He is known to be a biter. So we're coming back up, we're through, and we're coming back up that long road from her barn. So we go across the street to our house. Where's Shaylee? Where's Shaylee? We look back, she's about 100 yards behind us. kneeling down by the fence, and the black horse has his head through the fence, and she's got her arm around his neck. Now, that doesn't define, I want to be a veterinarian, nothing does, so thank you all very much.
Thank you, Glenn. So Shaylee is his granddaughter and very deserving. Thank you for sharing some of that. She held back on us, so on some of her information. Thank you.
Any others?
Okay, that, Kevin Sinkovich, passing, okay. Okay, so the time right now is 8:30.
Wow.
Meeting adjourned.